So, speaking of learning language, one of the things I thought through experience that I was learning another language on top of English, which was Spanish, and in Spanish learning in early stage, I had a really well written um a book about learning Spanish, and I've realized that one of the most important thing in order to conquer Spanish language was that in the grammar and structure of the language, the verbs are so important because their conjugation are especially very complicated, very advanced, so that you don't even need to say the subject because the verb conjugates so that the conjugation by itself will tell what the subjects are. So it's very unique in that sense compared to uh, either English or Japanese that I know of. And because of the conjugation, actually, I went into very a funny situation that I actually, start really getting into Spanish language, and sometimes when I have to speak or when I'm speaking English, I do it in Spanish way. So I eliminate the subject, but in English, if you eliminate subject, the person who are listening to you have absolutely no idea what the subject you are talking about. So let's say there was an incident very few days ago with my friends. We were texting, and then actually, okay, this was kind of reverse way, but my friend told me to put the coupon in my car so I can use it anytime. But then in reverse way, instantly what I thought was he was telling that he put the coupon in my car. So it was funny, like it was impossible, but because he was actually in his house, and I was in my place, and then so I responded to him that if he actually was there, and then whether my car was unlocked or something. So, but anyways, the way people think, the way people with the different native language think is completely different. So that was a very interesting thing that I noticed, and so the conjugation was very important about Spanish. And then what I wanted to talk about on this one is that I think a lot of language teacher, the problem is, I think, like in the case of this conjugation, and I think this would apply to anything, but normal teacher wouldn't bring all the conjugation uh, to a student who just had begun learning Spanish. But I think there is a problem, and I think most of teachers underestimate what we as a student can handle. Of course, we wouldn't understand whole conjugation chart. It's really like one verb will take up like a full page of A4 sheets paper. That many conjugation exist per one word. So of course we wouldn't understand all the conjugation by one day or something. So I think their intention is that, like, go easy so that nobody gets scared away. But actually, I feel opposite, because we are adult, we're not children, and we have more capacity actually in our brain to process the information and understand in the way with the logic, right? So actually, we have more better capacity than children, but the children learn language easier because as an adult we have a lot of concept, right? The norm that society thinks, and then all that thing will block us to do certain thing that is necessary for learning language efficiently and fast. But by teacher not providing full conjugation at the beginning, I think it works in a negative way, that I believe, because I I was so in rush to learn and comprehend full language of Spanish. So I tackled everything right from the beginning. I started look at the full conjugations of many verbs, and at the same time, like, when I went to the library and looked for some listening program, comes with a CD, and I intentionally selected advanced level. I didn't take the beginner's level because I wanted to actually soak my brain with the information, so my brain can process, in the back office of my brain, and that was my intention. And when I thought about that, I think if the teacher present to adult student, even they were beginner, they would understand, they will see the whole picture, that the journey that they are going through, they are about to start. The problem with providing information little by little, basically what they would do is not to get students confused. They present just a simple present tense of the verbs, and whatever the sentence, the example sentence that they can make up with that simple present tense. That's okay, but I think that will create a situation that students gets that, and then after the new things come and new things come, and it's actually in the reverse way, in terms of kind of get a student confused and actually make them feel the roadway that they're going is really, really long. If we were presented the whole conjugation chart, of course we wouldn't understand maybe a piece of it in the beginning, but at least you see the full picture of where we are going in order to fully understand and then be able to convert, speak the language. And the conjugation list, you may not understand, but then you see the full picture. And I think this is something like that. This they do in speed reading. Like if you wanna read the book really fast, then you can learn speed reading. But what they do is actually you don't need to comprehend, but it's almost like taking photograph and very flipping quickly, and then basically capture the two spreadsheet and all like very quick. So it will take like 3 to 5 minutes, but by doing so, basically a brain is registered with what entire map, so to speak, entire way of where we are going through. So I think that will kind of calm our mind, because we have seen them all. So when we actually going through the way, we're not so getting into the panic mode, so to speak. So that's one of the things that I thought about learning language. Oftentimes, the language teacher do things that actually negate the ability that actually the students have, and actually create a situation that in that students will feel like, like for them there is a lot of a maze in front of them, and all the surprising obstacle that they would have. And I think that works actually in negatively in language learning. And so that's what I felt. And I really believe when you are learning language, you really need to be approached. You really need to approach from all kinds of different angles at the same time, not one by one. So you need to tackle, understanding the grammar and, increasing the vocabulary, exposed to various vocabulary, and then you have to you have to start studying the conjugation of verbs, and you at the same time you have to work on listening, that actually listen what native speakers speak, and you actually have to repeat that, and all that kind of thing kind of comprehensively tackle at the same time. And the time management comes very important for that reasons, and you don't need to really do a lot with each, but like like small chunk from each things, you kind of need to compile into like a full range of package. You have to really basically tackle it from a different angle at the same time. But that's what one of the thoughts that I had, and I just wanted to speak. So like I wonder what other people think about learning language. And yeah, and again, like I want to make this as a series, and then I want to present my thoughts piece by piece, so we can compile all those idea of thoughts into one sort of guidance for everybody to learn English or Spanish or any other language relatively fast. Because one of the things that really want to avoid is, just like I did, you don't want to slow the process for whatever reason, because that's years of wasting time, wasting experience with acquired new language. So I think it's really important to accelerate the process of learning, so that people won't, first of all, people won't give up, and people acquire the new language. Therefore, they have more time to experience new experience that they can have with the new language skill. Yeah, so that's what I thought about it today. And thanks for listening, and see you next one.